Just connecting. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. So excited to have you all here. This is Mina's and I's third collaboration. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. And I'm going to take that off. Great. Mina is an integral part of my expansion as a woman, as a mother, as a business owner. And she's honestly the whole reason that I started this YouTube channel. I had to overcome fear to get here. We'll talk about fear, making more money, feminine ferocity. And throughout the past 4 years, she's been a mentor to me, a coach, a role model. And I always like to say this big sister figure that I never had to guide me through emotions and how to date and how to be in a relationship, how to start a business. So welcome, Mina. I think that most viewers are already familiar with you, but maybe do you want to share anything about who you are and what you do to anyone who might not?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amanda, for having me. And it has been the most pleasure and honor of my life to watch you grow and evolve and really step into your power, your womanhood, your personal values, what you stand for, your leadership, your work. So I just want to acknowledge the entire 4 year journey. Honestly, it feels like lifetimes, right? 4 years in our world is like 4 lifetimes. So it's been such an amazing journey. So my name is Mina Irfan, and I am a 6 time certified life coach, author, course creator, teacher, mentor. People have different ways that they relate to me, but honestly, at the core, I'm a woman that wanted to make something of myself despite not the best start to my life. I wanted to do the most with the resources that I was given, which I consider taking up life force, being on this planet, receiving free vitamin D from the sun and nutrients from the earth, resources that are being allotted to me, right? I'm here in form and I'm using up divine services and resources, and I wanted to make something of those. And so all of my work has just been my own journey of coming to knowing my personal values, honoring my ancestors and their sacrifices, and making sure that I leave something worthy for my descendants, my children. And little did I know that that would end up creating this huge ripple effect on the planet. My entire business has been an accident of just me documenting my journey, things I've overcome, things I've mastered, things I'm still learning and growing into. And who knew that that would end up being inspiration for women from all over the planet? So that's basically, in a nutshell, who I am. And aside from my work experience, I'm a wife and I'm a mother to three. And I have an adult son now and two children at home. And so that's been a journey navigating going from a mother role to a mentor role to an adult child. That's been in the last few years something I've had to learn to embody. So it's an ongoing evolution and growth, and I take personal development and evolution as if it was my religion. That's how I like take it seriously.
And you're not joking about that because before we went live, we were actually talking about how both of us have gone through so many iterations of who we are throughout the past 4 years. And like you said, it feels like a lifetime. And by the way, if you're tuning in, I want to make sure that our mics are leveled and that you can hear our volume equally. So if you can let me know in the chat, that would be amazing. But we've done two collabs up until now over the past 4 years. And I looked at the first one and we were so kind of soft and gentle and lean back and giggly. And then the second one was a bit more juicy. It was about becoming a luscious, wife and mother and family. And then this one has the energy of more spice. So this conversation will be talking about the relationship between fear and making more money, and also talk about some nervous system and mindset techniques to become more comfortable with fear, because approaching fear, there is a release or a letting into, but it's not necessarily a soft and gentle experience. And then we'll end the conversation talking about feminine ferocity and strength. And this is an aspect of feminine energy that's often overlooked, I think. So, Mina, you have successfully embodied what so many women desire: the money, the juicy marriage, the children, the success, the health, the vibrancy. And I would invite all of us who are tuning in, whether live or in the replay, to kind of settle into that energy that Mina is sharing. Yes, she's sharing words, but there's an energy she's radiating, and that is what feminine energy is. She's made it, she's done it, and she's doing it. So I've heard you say in a recent video, and I'm not sure if it was in your Queens of Money course or YouTube video, that you eat fear for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that just stood out to me. You like looked in the camera, you go, I eat fear. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So Amanda, grew up very fearful. My early experiences of life were very much dysregulated, a lot of childhood sexual trauma, a lot of just inconsistencies. Sometimes we'd have money and then we wouldn't have money and we wouldn't have food and food stamps and all the things. And as I was in my 20s, I was overcoming fear and doing a lot of things, but I was doing it from there was um there was something there to learn from and then something there to heal. After I got married to Irfan and he gave me the first sort of like safe place I had, I remember one of my children, they were like in diapers saying, "Well, mommy's scared of everything." And it was just a very casual like, yeah, like don't worry about it. Mom's just scared of everything. And it pierced me through my heart because that is not the experience that I wanted to give my children.
Yeah.
And so I went into this like inner part and I was like, what? What is happening? This is the safest that I've ever felt in my life. And my children's experience, and they were like this big at this time, literally in diapers, like, and their experience of me was that I'm just afraid of everything. And so I started like looking back at my life and I was like, well, how did I make all these power moves in as a teenager and in my 20s to get out of that situation? And I was like, there's lessons here because obviously I'm not doing it now. I'm letting fear consume me. And one of the things I instantly noticed is that after I got married to Irfan, I slowed down. And I know there's so much talk about slowing down and being soft. And that became the thing that let out all the fear. I'm not meant to slow down. I'm not designed to slow down. And I was started looking at how I was functioning as a teenager and in my 20s, making power move after power move, and how I was functioning. This is like when I was like 31, 32. I'm 44 now, about to be 45. So this was quite a whiles ago. And I was like, oh my God, I have slowed down. I make calculated moves, which means I give fear enough time to like germinate and like grow. And like I've gotten so good at turning like little moles into mountains because I give fear so much time. It's like a fungus that just like grows. And
Mm,
so I was like, interesting. And this is really quite interesting if you understand that I have what is known as like they call it the alpha gene. I call it the huntress genome. So 10% of the human population is wired with our ancestral hunter genome. We never evolved out of it the way that the 90% evolved out of it. And basically now we live in a world that's designed for what my mentors would call a farming world where like world is safe. You follow the formula, you plant stuff, you water it, you fertilize it, and then you don't mess with it and you sit back and you watch it grow for until
mm,
you do things slowly, you do things calculated, you follow processes. Well, I'm not wired for that. So
mhm,
if you take someone that's meant to be in the hunting environment and you put them in a farm, they're going to lose their mind. This is why hunters and huntresses, so 10% of the human population, which means 5% of the females have this genome. When we go to the doctor and we say, how we're feeling, we get diagnosed with ADHD, ADD because The 90% of the human population doesn't function like us. So they've put us in MRIs and like brain mapping machines. And with the farmers, when they're thinking, one part of their brain lights up. When we're thinking five, six, seven parts, we multi-think. We're just different. So because I married a farmer who he's all about like, we are going to have a plan and we're just going to follow the plan and we're just not going to mess with the plan and we're just going to do the. So I started mimicking being a projector, open centers, his behavior. And so I started living in fear because I wasn't moving the way I'm designed to move. And so even though there was like, I didn't have to earn any money, my husband was fully providing for me and the kids. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to create an environment that's like my own internal jungle. And then I'm gonna have to be a huntress in this. And so to answer your question, why do I eat fear for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? That's how we would have been back then. That's how we thrive. So I'm continuously putting myself in scenarios where I'm pushing the edges of what feels comfortable for me. Whether it's I'm gonna have the highest cash month. So I broke a huge barrier that I was in June. We had one of our highest cash months, 7 figures. But I've had 7 figures, but the way we did it, we've never done it before. And I had an internal story that, of course, I can't do it this way because the other ways all had this one similarity. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I push the edges. I make myself so uncomfortable. And the way it works internally, because I want to really give you the beliefs that go with that and the internal strategy. And
Mm.
that is, I move faster than fear. So I figured out when I have an idea or a download, how long does it take in nanoseconds before the questions and the stories and the fear drops in? And so once I figured that out, I just launched the thing before that thing. So how it looks like is, let's say I'll have an idea to launch a course that I've never done. I'll launch it and then the story will come in. And then it will be like, well, I already did it now. So I just eat the fear. I metabolize it. I feel through it, but there's no going back. Like I did it. It's already happened. I announced it. People are paying for it. So I'll book the trip. And then it's like, oh, now the fear comes in, but it's like I have no choice but to eat the fear now because I like just bought a non-refundable ticket to the thing I was going to be scared to do. So I basically move faster. And that's how the 10% of the human population, we're designed to go fast. But we're told if you go fast, you're going to burn out. Actually, what burns us out is not going fast enough or going fast in the wrong direction,
Mm.
not doing the things that are actually nourishing and life-giving, doing the things that the farmers find life in, but we don't.
So you feel the feelings, the sensations of fear. You do the thing, and then you feel fear come through your body. And I wonder if we all might brainstorm what fear feels like in the body. Because it sounds like what Mina is saying is that she sits with the discomfort of the fear in the body because it can be uncomfortable, but she allows herself to be comfortable in it. So maybe put in the chat some sensations come up that help you to know that fear is present. For example, for me, I know when my diaphragm is really tight and when my heart starts beating, I'm like, oh, hi, fear. I see you, I'm here, and I eat it by letting it run its course through my body. I'm like, I lean in, I say, give me more. I
I
say, more of
absolutely
that.
love that. I just want to add something really quick that not everyone feels fear in their body. So
Okay.
there are people that, so I cannot feel, when I actually tap in, I cannot feel fear in my body at all. It's a mental thing for me. So I just want to say that how fear shows up is it's tied to our five senses. So for some people, it's outside the body.
Uh-huh.
For some people, it's in the head. For some people, it's associated with smell. For other people, it's associated with sounds. So it does not always a feeling. If I ever try to find the feeling of fear in my body, it actually shows up as excitement. So I'm like, oh, wait, but my mind is not interpreting it. So if it's okay if you can't feel it in your body, see if you can locate it as an image around your body, or is it a thought form? And that's okay. So just wanted to make that clear because some people are like, well, I can't really feel it in my body because you might not be metabolizing it in that way.
I love that distinction. Let's see, we have tightness, tension, heart racing, holding the stomach. My heart starts to race and I get sweaty. Only when I public speak or on the spot. It's so intense. So I feel that, Pamela. And actually, fear came up when so Mina said that when I was in your group coaching program, CEO Boss Queens, I wanted to start a podcast, and you said you should start a YouTube channel. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm filming videos of myself, putting myself out there like that, especially live streaming. And I had to sit with a lot of fear, and it came up in my neck. Remember, I had neck pain. So it showed up in my neck, and you're like, you just have to do it. You have to do it anyways. So feeling the fear, however you feel it, however you metabolize it, letting it be there and doing the thing, whether you do it before the fear shows up, whether you do it after. How do you see women trip up around fear? How does it block them in your experience with working with women?
Biggest thing I would say is that if you are a huntress, what I call feminine huntresses, you're not meant to sit in the fear and even feel it before. Do the thing and then we do better by. So the best example of huntresses is that we jump off a flying plane and we build the parachute on the way down. It's completely different. Whereas if you are more coded to be what is called the farmers, you can sit and calculate and think about it for 2 years, feel all the feels and do all the things, and then launch the thing 2 years later. That would kill us. That would make us sick. We don't function that way. Think
Mm,
about the hunter. Like really, and of course, as women, we have less examples of this because we weren't really allowed to be huntresses until very recently. My mom's such a clear huntress, but such an
mm,
outlier in her environment, in her culture, right? But she had the genome. And so if you go back to, and all the images will come of men because men used to be the hunters and we were the gatherers. But if you think about how fast moving society was, and you had to make decisions real quick, like you don't have 2 years to sit there and calculate, you're going to get eaten or some other tribe is going to come get the thing. And now you don't have food for your tribe. So we are not their ancestors, right? The people that sat and planned forever. So in the group coaching that I run now, my Kainat Success Academy, it's full of just feminine huntresses.
mm.
And what we're finding is the faster they move, the easier it is to metabolize fear. If they sit on something, it's the end of that project because now they're consumed by it. But we just function differently.
Yeah. I've titled this video Eat Fear and Make More Money. So I want to dive into the money part of this. I think most people, no matter what income bracket they're in, would probably not be opposed to making more money. And I want to frame this part of the conversation from the perspective of you, Mina, who's in the top 1% income bracket. First of all, what's money to you? What does money mean to you? And how do you experience money?
Ooh, I absolutely love money and I see it as a game. It's like
Okay.
I've gamified the experience. So it's this ping, 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 ping that comes in, the more value I add and the faster I move. Now that's not, it's like for me personally, money is tied to regulated speed. It's really just a confirmation at the speed of which I'm receiving my downloads and implementing them. I don't know what it is about God and money, but both of these frequencies love speed is what I've seen. And that was one thing I was always shamed for growing up. So I grew up thinking I need to slow down because it was like, Mina, you go too fast. You go too fast. Slow down. Slow down. You're going to fail. You're going to get yourself hurt. And what I've known now after 44 years of living this way is that even when I quote unquote fail, I get back up so much faster and succeed that the people that are still thinking about it are still thinking about it. So I go fast, I fail fast, I extract my lessons fast. So this genome is also called the Edison gene. And if you think about the Thomas Edison, like his most famous quote is that I didn't fail at making the light bulb 3,000 times. I learned how to not make the light bulb 3,000 times, right? So think of the resilience and the grit that's required. So I love money as a game. And it's so interesting, even in my consciousness, big money coming in, it's like energy. And then the like little money coming in like fast is like bing, 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 bing. And it's like, it's such a fun game that I get to play because the faster I go, the more embodied I am, the more value I add, the more mastery I have over my craft and in my own, over my thoughts, over my feelings, over the way I move, the more dush energy and bing, 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 bing energy gets to come in.
Mm.
So it's really a game in my consciousness.
Money equating to value, speed, fun, game as in like a little bit of a challenge, light is what I'm hearing. I'm curious, as a top earner, how does the presence of fear correlate with the way that money flows for you? Is there a relationship? Does fear ever come up for you?
It does. And when it does, I know what's happened and I know how to fix it. So most people have money tied to survival. So
Mhm.
when you think of even like the chakra system or your energy systems, where do we place money? On the root. Safety, survival, right? Comfort. And so what I've done is I've unplugged that and plugged it to the rest of the centers as well. Yes, money gets to provide safety for me, right?
Mhm.
And it also gets to be plugged into my sacral, which means what? It's like the energy of mystery and fun and play and pleasure. And then it also gets to go into my solar plexus. Like, you know, the saying that you vote with your money, like money is power, right?
Yeah.
Like you get to vote with your money, you get to have a say. Your voice matters more because you can do more with money. And so it's also plugged to my solar plexus. It's also plugged to my heart. The more in service that I am, I always say, like, God cuts my paychecks. Like, God is my CEO, like, He's my business partner. And so it's tied to service. I feel like the richer I get, the more I get to serve, the more society is served by my work. The wealthier I am, the more impact I have on the planet. So it's tied to my heart. It's also tied to my voice. The more clarity I have about what I stand for and my purpose on this planet and why my voice matters and how to use my voice in ways that is life-giving to the planet. So it's tied to my throat. It's also tied to my third eye, my downloads, my knowing, my oversoul, and knowing that there is life beyond just this one human existence that
Mm.
I'm existing in right now. And so there's a connection to something beyond just these realms. This is where my 7 generations back and 7 generations forward comes, which is like such a big part of my life. And then it's also tied to my crown. So I'm literally co-creating with God. My downloads come with from God. And then it's my job to channel them through this human body, this animal body that I exist in. And it's my job to, like, again, eat that fear.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm thrown off course and I have moments of fear around money, I'm like, huh, interesting. So that means I need to just go back and do some of that like chakra work.
Mhm.
This happens in my life when I'm going slow. Again, it's like I give it, if I give it too much time and attention, it has time. In my culture, they say that an empty mind is the house of the devil.
Mm.
And so when you have time to like sit and think about nonsense things, you'll have more nonsense things,
Yeah.
right? Like I think of the creator as this one infinite, limitless power. Like, am I really gonna sit here and act like God's a peasant and like God can't support me through hard times or, with everything I've learned and embodied and mastered that I'm not gonna be able to generate money beyond just this moment? So like it's like resetting the energy centers, going back and saying, huh, where am I like not following my divine nudges? Where am I not living my purpose? And then resetting that has been huge for me.
So you think that if fear comes up in relationship with money, it's located in the root chakra. Fear is in the root, that survival aspect. And you kind of bring up and light up the other energy centers in association with money.
Yes, and I think the biggest thing is, why are we only looking at money from the survival lens? Because we're wired that way through millions of years of evolution, but really we're not living that life anymore. Like we come from this um the way that society has evolved for us human beings, it's been a win-lose situation. Someone gets the meat, someone doesn't. If I get it, that means someone else doesn't have it. If they have it, doesn't mean I don't have it. It's been a win-lose game. Well, we now live in a society where we're playing a win-win game. Everyone gets to win. There's trillions of dollars circulating from the economy, like right now, just in my neighborhood, right? Like there's so much that you can plug into. 10,000 people at the same time can go on your website, Amanda, and at the same second, click the buy button. You
Yep.
could have 10,000 sales. Like there's the only limitation is your own perceived limitations that you're putting. So I think a lot of us are stuck in looking at money from the root. I was speaking to a client the other day and she had this really amazing idea and she was so excited about it. And it was a luxury idea. She doesn't have to do this. She wants to do it. She gets to do it. And then within seconds, she had made it into something that she has to do for survival. I'm like, what
Mm.
just happened here? Huh? How did your divine download go into I'm gonna die and like, all of this fear? And so it's like, okay, we need to unhook everything you're doing from survival and we need to regrid it for there's other reasons for doing things. Like when people say to me, well, you're a deca millionaire. Why do you need to work? I don't need to work. I get to work. I get to be in service to humanity. The frequency energy of I have to work is tied to root. I
Mhm.
get to work is tied to my crown, my heart, my voice, my solar plexus, my pleasure centers. I'm using all of me in
Yeah.
that decision.
And you have a whole lesson on this in your Queens of Money course, which by the way, if you haven't taken that, super, it's $44. Is that
Mhm.
right? I mean, it's like a no-brainer. So definitely I'll drop that in the show notes. And I don't know if you have the link ready, you could put it in the chat too. But
Let
you
me
have a
see.
whole breakdown of the chakra system and relationship with money. I'm thinking of someone, I know this channel or this stream is tied to for rich, wild women who want it all. I'm wondering about the person who's tuned into this and they identify as rich in their soul or their spirit, but their lived experience is making ends meet. For them, you would maybe lean into the fear that's coming up from the root chakra and invite them to bring it to breathe that energy up into the heart. It's like there's a disconnect. I feel like for so many women, they identify and their soul is rich and wealthy. And then in their physical reality, they're making ends meet or they're maybe even in debt. How do you explain that?
So I personally wouldn't even explain it to them. I'll just do an exercise and we can do it
Great.
together. Here's why. They're already in their head.
Yeah.
And the what the head doesn't understand, it asks questions, right? It's rooted in survival. And so what I would do is I would invite you, if you're able to do so safely right now. If you're driving, you can come back to this later. Amanda's going to have the replay up here. But I would invite you to close your eyes if you're able to do so. And as you're tapping into that energy of fear and survival when it comes to money, maybe you have debt, maybe whatever the thing is, I invite you to locate in or around your body where that energy is coming up. Is it a feeling? Is it a sound? Is it a smell? Is it something you're seeing? Is it imagery? And I want you to locate it and just notice its shape, its color, any texture it has to it, any sounds it's making. And wherever it is, whether it's in your body or around your body, I'm going to invite you to pull it in front of you. So you're going to take it with your hand and you're going to pull it in front of you. And as you're holding this image, I want you to put it in a frame. And once you've put this in a frame, I want you to notice the size of it, the color of it. If it has color, I want you to drain the color out of it and make it black and white. If it's already black and white, I want you to make it fuzzy and blurry where you can barely see it. And now I want you to notice that there is a valve at the end of this frame. And you're going to open that valve, and all of a sudden, all the air is going to come out of it like a balloon of this frame image of your fear. And it's going to just be running around the room and fall like it's a deflated balloon, a tiny little deflated balloon. You're now going to look at this deflated balloon and you're going to shrink it half in size. And then you're going to shrink it again in half a size. And then you're going to do it again until it's the size of a grain of salt. And now you're going to pour water over it until it just dissolves away. And so open your eyes now. You're going to look around your room and look at any colors or shapes. Ground yourself back in. And you can do this on your own time, but I guarantee when you close your eyes and think of the fear again, it's not going to show up in the same way that it just did. It's just forever, it's going to be transmuted now. So I want you to give yourself permission to let that be something that you've transmuted and it's in the old timeline. And the second layer of this is you're going to now see how do you want to think of money? And I want you to code that imagery in. So find an image or a sound or a color that's associated positively for money for you. You can do this by closing your eyes. Think of an image, sound, shape, flavor of money. Is it a pile of money on the ground? Is it numbers on your bank account just going up so fast you don't even know how many zeros are there? Whatever that image is, I want you to locate it, put it in a frame, dial up the color, make it larger, double the size again, dial up the brightness of it, make it even brighter and darker and more vibrant and bigger. And I want you to place it as close to your being as possible, as if it's already happening now. And see how that feels for you. And watch how your field is expanding with that experience. And then I want you to walk through that frame as if you've just integrated this new way of being with money. You're just walking through a portal where money gets to be easy for you. It gets to be tied to divine service, purpose, ease, flow, mastery, movement, momentum, velocity, kindness. And you having money serves the planet for 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And I want you to breathe that in. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, and so it is.
That was brilliant. And I think that was such a divine example of literally eating fear.
There you
You
go.
literally, I mean, that wrapped it all up. You brought us into our body, identified or psyche, wherever, however we see fear, pulled it out, let it be there, looked at it, ate it, created something new from it, and walked through that. And I am just chuckling at you saying, I wouldn't even answer the question because fear is in their, because that's in their mind. I mean, that is such a wonderful reminder that if we're too much in the head and asking logistical questions, it's about the energetics of how we feel. And it's just a different way to be for many of us in this society that's very head oriented. So thank you. That was very generous of you to walk us through that. Curious what your perspective was for those of you who tuned in, if you want to share anything in the chat. And I'm going to pull out questions in the chat at the very end of this. So if you have questions, feel free to just place them as we go, and I'll have a Q&A at the end. So I'm wondering about this idea of feminine ferocity. And like I said, we've known each other for 4 years now. I've witnessed both of us step into more ferociousness. And I wonder sometimes if part of that is because I'm in your container. I stepped into that 4 years ago. And this, our first interview was all about surrenders based off of human design projector. And we really wanted to rest. And you had a bed in the background. And I feel that we both learned to be in our feminine fire. I looked up the definition of ferocity. The first one is savage wildness. Savage wildness, the property of being wild or turbulent. And then ferocious is extremely powerful or destructive. Extremely powerful or destructive. And I'd like to learn about feminine energy from the lens of my own body, as someone with a feminine essence primarily, and in nature. Can you, before we dive into this, feminine ferocity, because in nature I see things like tornadoes and wildfires and so much, tsunamis. These are all destructive. They're all life force energy. They're cyclical. But can you give a brief overview of how you define feminine energy more broadly? And are there any misconceptions that you've noticed from your point of view? Because there's a lot of content out there about it.
Yes, I think that the biggest misconception is that feminine energy is this one flavor of softness and rest and lean backness. And that's like one of like limitless pool of flavors. Like think of anything that's associated with feminine energy. It's womb energy, it's the cosmic energy of creation. There's so much, right? Like you can create trash from that same energy and you can create a baby and you can create books and wildlife and there's so much flavors to it. And I think that we're now performing femininity. Like I don't see myself as a soft person at all. But for some reason, that keeps getting lodged in as like, you have to be soft. So my definition of feminine energy is that I get to be all of me. I get to like live out the many different flavors of me, just like so many different goddesses in so many different cultures. There's representations of the divine feminine as fire, as motherly, as golly. There's just so many different flavors of it. And so my job on this planet is to destruct the conditioning and the limitations that society or my own consciousness has placed on myself. And so that's the destruction part. I'm always deconstructing, destructing, deconstructing, rebuilding. And with every layer, it's like more and more of my authentic energy, my authentic being, my soul gets to shine through and the conditioning falls away. And I love
Mhm.
your definition that you gave of veracity, or yes, hopefully I'm saying that right. It's not a word that I commonly use in my vocabulary, but I love it because I love being wild and free. So if anyone ever comes to me and says, "Oh, Mina, that's not very feminine," or "You're not very feminine because you do this," it's like I'm free. If
Mhm.
that's what it means to be feminine from your lens, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be locked in performing any one way. I just want to be liberated and wild and free and more and more and more every day. So I would say that's the best definition to me at the moment.
Yes. I've been thinking a lot about this too, that I feel that the masculine energy is like the space that holds the life, and the feminine energy is the life. And that life is the tornado, or it's the still lake, or it's the fish that swim in the lake. It's all these archetypes you're talking about. And you say, I want to bring all of me to life. And that is the feminine. The feminine is the expression of life. And there is power in the expression of life. When I think of the term soft, I've reframed it to like water's soft, right? But it's also powerful. It's soft power. There's an immense power in a waterfall that flows off the edge. And like, think of the power at the bottom of a waterfall. But it's a different sort of power than that of like just something still and solid. And I think of movement a lot with feminine energy, whereas, this idea of being destructive. I love the examples you gave of I'm deconstructing beliefs every day. And when something's going to be destructed in life, I think of transformation. And fear can come up when something in your life is going to be deconstructed, right? Whether it's a belief, a version of yourself that literally is going to die, bringing back fear into this conversation, that's a chance to metabolize it too. And I see a lot of people back away because of the fear of losing. It's kind of an egoic fear, right? Losing a version of yourself, losing something that's familiar and stepping into something new. There's so much fear that can come up. I wonder if you could give any examples besides beliefs of what has had to deconstruct in your life to bring you to the version of who you are today that has it all, that loves life, that has gamified money, that finds pleasure in your body. Like what have you had to deconstruct? What have you had to let go of?
A lot of things. I think for me, it does go back to beliefs though, because I have learned that my beliefs were holding things in place. I was talking about this yesterday in one of my paid containers that I have like 44 years of really weird examples now where something really threatening or scary was there, and literally all I did, I had no power in that moment. There was nothing I could do other than literally remove my eyesight to something else. So,
Mhm.
and some people might call that delusional or something, whatever. But literally, I had no choice at that time. And my only trauma response was, I'm actually just going to look away. But strangely enough, even the most threatening things, when I looked away, they disappeared. And so, what I've learned is that it's my own attention to things that hold them in place. So now, I mean, I can give you a million examples. Let's say that someone I love is showing up in a way that I don't love so much. So I will remove attention off of that quality and focus my attention on a quality of theirs that I do love. And suddenly that person will stop behaving in that way. Like I have millions of examples with this, with money, with where I was living, with situations at school, at work, with clients, where literally all I had to do was remove my attention. And I've learned that my attention and focus, I think because my beliefs are so strongly rooted in God and my belief system is like rock solid, that whatever I give my attention to just grows, whether it's I would call it positive or negative, it will just grow. So as long as I can remember, and I have like general journal entries upon general entries of like, oh, just stop looking. Stop looking at it will wither away and die. And I have 100% success rate with this. But it's such a human nature to keep poking it,
Yeah.
to keep looking at it, to keep like playing with it. And I think one of the ways, other things is that I do have a really full life, meaning I love the life I've created, and there's a lot of positive things in my life to plug into. So when duality does show up, it doesn't have that big of a hold. So, for example, most people have trained themselves that they let negative things interrupt their joy, right? Like it's like, I had 10 positive things today, but that one person cut me off. So like I get to have a bad day now. Versus what if I had 10 bad things happen today, but that one smile from that stranger or my child's hug, I get to let joy interrupt my bad day. I get to let joy interrupt my sadness. I like to have joy interrupt my duality. And so I really, in my body, I have the ability to hold multiple things as reality at the same time. Like I could be going through real, actual grief of losing a loved one and feeling intense joy at the same time, which is something the human body is capable of doing. We haven't trained for it.
Mhm. I think this is how you move so fast, Mina, is you understand that shifting your attention to different things will just by nature of doing that move your life forward. There's not much, there's things to do, but really the doing is deciding what you're going to hold your awareness on. And everything flows through that consciousness. And then you let the story of what you were looking at before die and deconstruct. And in that way, you are a powerful creator of your reality. And creation is feminine energy. There's nothing more feminine than the act of creating. That's what I'm hearing from you. Do you feel when you think of, and I do remember pulling up a video of you once, I think it was like 10 years ago. Did you have a YouTube channel 10 years ago? I don't even know if these videos are up.
14 and a half years ago, I had my first YouTube channel. So yes, it's just in Universe Guru, same one.
Yes, your voice was so different. It was high pitched and almost shaky. And I feel that that version of you, she's probably integrated, but she's no longer. Do you think she put up a fight? Do you think that there was fear when she knew that she was going to be no longer? Like, do you remember there any moments coming from her to where you are now, which is incredible? Like, you can feel and see the difference in these videos.
And I love that. I love when my clients go back and they watch old videos and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, because their perception is they have to have it all figured out to where I am now to be able to do the thing. And I'm like, go watch 14 and a half years of content and see the evolution. I think I was busy just following God's orders that I didn't notice any, like I'm addicted to abundance and I'm addicted to personal development and growth. I love it. Like, and it's so funny, but I used to have all kinds of stories about my husband when I married him. Like, we've been almost married for 17 years. And, he's very physics, very math, like very much that type of thinking. And we used to think, wouldn't it be fun to like study this concept or this with him? But I had these internal weird stories that, oh, he's not going to be interested. I got him addicted. Like he is now, like I was telling my friend, I think he's more addicted to like inner work and personal development. I mean, he's like certified life coach now, engineer, like physics, like he brings all of that to it. And it's
Yeah.
just so delicious. So I think because like I genuinely just enjoy growth, I wasn't looking at it as something's wrong with me, let me fix it. It's just like,
Uh,
I did it for free, right? Like I didn't have a business 14 and a half years ago when I started my YouTube channel. I just was sharing what I'm working on myself.
mhm.
And the business started in 2016. It blew up in 2017, like blew up wild. So this is what I do. If YouTube didn't exist, if life coaching didn't exist, I'd still be doing what I do.
Yeah.
So for my experience of it has just been just keep doing what you want to do. Like every moment of free time, even when I was like a single mom and like going to school full time and had my real estate business in my 20s, I was still every little bitty time I had, I was reading. I was like working on myself, growth. So my experience has been this is what I would do anyways. And I'm going to continue doing that. And now I just get paid for it.
Yes. Yeah, and it sounds like you identify with your soul versus these identities. I think that's where we can really trip up. If we identify so much with like a personality identity, then when that personality identity dies, it's scary. There's fear, there's grief. That's a normal part of the creation experience. But if your primary identity is soul and your soul craves growth and learning, then you're always oriented towards your center and these aspects of you can die without you hanging on so much. That's kind of what's
Yes.
coming to mind as you're sharing.
I have a
Last,
video about this on my channel. I don't know if you've seen it, Amanda. It's called The Intersection of Identities, where
oh,
I literally talk about this, that there is going to be this uncomfortable point between where, and I call it normalizing it. Like I want to normalize things really quickly. Like even when I was sharing the way we had our seven-figure month in June was very different. Like, and the mind wanted to go to, but all the other times you did it in this way and you're not doing it in this way. So like, of course you can't do it. It's like, of course I can, because God is limitless
yeah,
and there's millions of ways of doing something. And so as soon as it hit, I was like, okay, normalizing phase initiated. This gets to be the new normal, that there is no one way of doing anything. That took me like, half a day of just like this, oh my God, this is the way we get to do it now. Freak, like I did it, like, oh my God, right? In this new way. So there is, and before it would have maybe taken me a little bit longer to normalize it. Like maybe my mind would have been like, what if it's a fluke? What if you did it this one time? Right? And this is what my husband would say to me when I would say, "Do you think this is like repeatable?" And he would say, "Even if it isn't, you still have this." Like if I remember the first time I got this award for being the top seller for think like the platform that we use for our school, and the other top 10 people on the list are celebrities, right? Like they have millions of followers. I don't. They have connections with the White House, and I don't have any of that. I'm just like this little wife and like mother, right? Like sitting in my living room doing this at the time. And so I was telling my husband, oh my God, like first I celebrated, and then I was like, well, what if I don't do? He's like, it doesn't matter. This cannot be taken away from you. Like you did it already. So you don't have to repeat it. You don't have. And it was like, oh, right. It's done. It's checked. Like I have this now. It's part of my identity. And then I did it again and then did it again and then did it again. But that part of like, but you already are it. Like you have it already,
yeah,
right? And so there are reframes that we can give the mind. They're kind of funny when you think about them backwards. Um, Another thing that's coming through that I just want to say, I quoted Steve Jobs yesterday in one of my paid containers, and I wanted to say it here that Steve Jobs used to say that the dots always connect looking back, never going forward. That's my entire life.
yeah,
Because I'm moving at the speed of soul, I never know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to fall. I don't know if I'm going to fly. I don't know if this is the greatest thing or one of the stupidest things I've done. It doesn't matter. I just do it. But looking back, if you look at my life, you're going to say, Someone had a plan. You think it's me? I don't plan at all. I have no plans in life. I never know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I have no business plan. People have told me you cannot have a business without a business plan. Well, I have an 8-figure business without a business plan. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I do. So, like, like that's just how it is.
I just am really struck by how much you bring up speed. I think that that's a very important piece of this. It's not even like you eat fear. It's that you just are ahead of it. You do it and then you're like, fear, you can come along, or you like, it's irrelevant almost to you. It's like trailing you, but you're not even looking back at it. That's what I'm feeling. I don't even know that like need to metabolize it or eat it. In fact, you're just letting it kind of like linger behind you, and you're moving at the speed of light because you're connected to soul. And with that, everything else comes: money, love, vitality, because we are souls. And so I think that you've just really been able to live that in your life and share it on a wide audience. And there's so much resonance. It's such a gift. I'm going to look at some of these questions. I do want to say to Mina, so one of my first times watching your videos, or in the very beginning, you used to have these fancy drinks. Do you remember this phase?
I
I don't know
do
if you still do
remember
this.
that.
So and it when you can sell anything, I swear. And you'd be like, "Oh, today I have this sparkling water." So I made a kombucha and I put berries in it for
Ah.
today. I just want to highlight that. So cheers. Okay, thank you for all the comments, everybody, and for contributing to the conversation. You can start typing more questions too if you have questions. So how do you find out if you have the huntress gene? That's a great question. How do you know?
Okay, so I can we'll give you the quiz. The quiz is iamdriven.com, but I can also give you the signs, okay? You're highly driven. There's a part of you that just you don't people tell you just be content. Why can't you be happy with just this? And your process of it is I am happy, and there's always an and. You're not the type that like says you might lie to yourself sometimes. I've done that in the past in my 20s where after I get this I'll stop, but you can't, right? Like it's you're just so driven. The other thing is that you think in ways um in really unique ways that other people do. Because again, the multi-think, right? So for example, if I read a book, right, and I tell 10 people to read the book, and those 10 people, the other 9 people are farmers, they're going to say, well, I'm not getting it. On what page did you learn that? I'm like, here. But they can't, they're like, that's not what it says. It's because only one part of the brain fires, right? And when I'm reading it, 5 part of my brain are firing. So I'm connecting it to the thing I did 20 years ago, the thing my professors at when I was, in high school, the thing that I learned from reading a book 12 years ago, and the experience that I've had in my entire existence and many lifetimes, right? So what I'm reading is beyond words. So it's so funny, we don't get this anymore, or maybe we do. I don't know if my team doesn't tell me, but I used to get this when I was manning my own emails. We used to get these questions. I used to get these questions of, tell me the one book that you read to know everything that you know. And I'm like, I don't know, the Bible, the Quran. It's funny to me, right? And it's like, not that people read the Bible and then they know everything. Like, there's many interpretations of that, right? Is this funny? Or they would say, I'm on the Northwestern website. Exactly what course did you take? And I'm like, girl, I was there for 8 years, freaking studying everything. Like, but it was really interesting because I'm like, oh my God, most people think it's like you learn this one thing or you read this one thing and then you download everything you ever need to know, and then that's it. That's not how huntresses think. So we have this innate drive to create,
Yeah.
to move forward, to be better. We're obsessed with mastery. That's a huge one. Like we want to, people will tell us you're fabulous. Like, why would you want more? We just do. So, and we think of we'll see the same thing that everyone else is seeing, and we'll see. So, by the way, you know who has the huntress genome?
Cool.
Oprah.
Hmm.
Uh, Jeff Bezos has it. Elon Musk has it. Trump has it. And here's the thing with the 10% of the human population, they can be classified as two. So either you're a wolf or you're like meaning that you shepherd people through taking advantage of them. They're shadows. because you understand people are magnetically attracted to hunters and huntresses.
Mhm.
So you either use it in evil ways or you use it like Einstein also had it, right? Mahatma Gandhi, like all of these people that were saw beyond the matrix. You see beyond what everyone else is seeing, and you have this need, this drive to help society, but you second guess yourself. There's a lot of shadows with us. This genome is also, there's two variants of it, DRD4 and DRD2. It's also associated with self-destruction, alcoholism. It's called the drug addicts gene. It's called the cheaters gene. There's a reason for that. We wanted hunters, people with the strong genome, to mate with multiple people because we wanted to make sure there was more of this genome that got associated with cheating. There's so much positive and some shadows associated with it. The problem is that most of the way the research is conveyed is negatively because it's written by farmers. They don't get us. They're like, why do these people have so much power? Why do they invent things? Why do they see things that other people don't get? They must be doing something bad. We're just wired differently.
Mhm.
Huntresses tend to out earn their partners, their fathers, probably their entire neighborhood combined. Like it's just a fact. At some point, you will out earn all of the men in your life. Get used to it. Get comfortable with that. It can be very uncomfortable. I remember when I made in 1 month what my dad had made in his entire 71 years on this planet. I cried. I felt sad. There was grief, and then there was excitement too. That of course I get to do that. I am his next generation. I'm the more evolved version. As a woman, you're going to have to make peace with that. If you're trying to keep small so you don't emasculate the men in your life, first of all, you have a very twisted relationship with what masculinity actually is. And secondly, girl, your genome is not going to let you do that anyway, so make peace with it.
Mhm. So the Lyman Academy with Rena is talking about being a human design projector and the strategy of waiting for an invitation, and then how that has to do with being a huntress and loving speed. How do you
Yes.
wait, and how do you also have speed? It's a great question, Rima. Thank you.
So I wait. Okay, so first let me just say that everything that comes out of my mouth, I tell my students, all no matter what I'm saying, always ask yourselves the question, what are the beliefs associated with what she's saying? Because if there's one thing worth following or modeling from any person you look up to, or they have something you want to achieve, don't look at what they're doing, look at what their beliefs are, because what they're doing is being influenced by their beliefs. So I believe that the invitation part of human design was supposed to be from God, not from other human beings. Sometimes it appears that it's channeled through other human beings. So, for example, let me give you the best one. God decided that Amanda and I needed to have this conversation again. We've had different versions of, I've had Amanda on my channel, I've been on her channel. So God plants that idea in Amanda's mind. Amanda goes on Facebook and says, hey, you want to come on and have a conversation? So the invitation appears to be from Amanda. I was not waiting for it. I know that there's invitations coming through from everywhere. It can come through an idea I have, it can come through a dream, it can come through something a client says, something my child says, something Amanda says. And so I was like, yes, sure. So there's no waiting in my world. I'm the most impatient person you're probably ever gonna meet. My daughter Alina challenges says saying me, Mom, you're the second most impatient person. I'm the first. So apparently my mom was super impatient too. I just come from a line of huntresses and we don't wait. We just don't. If you told me just wait or something bad will happen to you, I would say I would rather just go and let the bad thing happen and transmute it than wait. So that's how like waiting consciousness comes in my body. So I am the invitation. God is always inviting me. And because there's so many things happening, so at time, Amanda can invite me, someone else at the same time. So how do I wait? I don't wait. I have the fast pass of life. I like cut the line. I just decided I get to go full force.
There's that savage feminine energy. How do I wait? I don't. I don't wait. But I truly love this belief of I'm always being invited. I think that there's so many limiting beliefs as a human design projector. That's a whole nother topic that we can get to. In fact, I'm gonna copy paste our conversation that we first had on your channel about being a human design projector. So if you guys are interested, click on it and just check it out how different the energy is and how different our approach is. It's pretty fascinating. I think that the energy of waiting is a really limiting energy because that means you don't have the thing. So if you're waiting for an invitation, by proxy of waiting, it's not here. And there's no such thing as time. And I had the experience too that the idea for this conversation, I let it sit because I wanted to have you on my channel again, but I didn't want to push it. I wanted it to feel right. And I was driving and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to voice memo it to myself because it just came through. It was an invitation from God to have the conversation, but I waited until I felt that that was clear, that feel like I try to approach my work as a vessel of love. Like I try to be that vessel and then express that. So that means that if time doesn't exist, I'm not waiting, that it's inevitable, it will come through. And then it did. And here we are. Oh, Kabibi, so sweet. Amanda, I've been watching your channel since before you were married and had your son. You are the epitome of science and magic. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's been a lot of iterations for sure of how I've gone through this. The invitation comes from God. Yes, thank you, Amanda and Mina. So wonderful. I think that I'm going to, just for the sake of time, and I know we started a little late, wrap this up, but I wanted to see if you have any last thoughts. You know, both of us tend to work with high performing women who they don't need to really be told to just like speed and be powerful and all these things, but often what they're missing is juiciness, succulence, like those deep relationships. What would you tell them? I wanted to just hold that demographic in my heart. Like they don't have a problem making money. How would you direct them with their speed to find more succulence, juiciness, deliciousness in life?
Okay, I love this question. And yes, I work with those are the feminine huntresses, right? Their natural essence, God-given is feminine, but they also have the huntress genome. So the way huntresses generally work, not always, but generally, and for everyone, let's just step back for a second. Most people fall into these two categories where here's emotions, this is our emotional body. And there's some people that function below emotion and their experience of emotions are drowning in them. There's like that's very accessible. You know those people that cry very easily,
Yeah.
they're very tender, they're very sensitive. They live here. Generally, so they're here, but like it's like closer to here. So when they're dysregulated, it's like an emotional storm. Huntresses, not all of them, but most of us, most of the high performance, we've trained ourselves to live slightly above emotion.
Mm-hmm.
This is why people that are overly emotional they want that activation from us because it's like we can bring them out of the emotion, right? It's like, come on, girl, like get yourself up, straighten your crown, that sort of a vibe.
Yeah.
So we live slightly above. When we're dysregulated, we go very much above emotion. And the energy for the people that live below emotion is the energy of like, it's like watery. It's and then when they're dysregulated, they start drowning. For us, it's the energy is a little bit of like dehydration. Really, if you think about it. And when
Yeah.
we're dysregulated, we're like severely
Yeah.
dehydrated. So what we want to do, and this is a big part of my work, is first gauging where is this person? Are they like the one that lives slightly above emotion? That's me, versus slightly below emotion. And the below emotion, you bring them up. You don't take them further down. Notice when you asked me the question about fear, it was a mental question. I'm not going to ask you another question because I need to take you down. We did an exercise. So if you I have this rule, I have this boundary. I do not coach the mental plane.
Yeah.
Like I am not a mental coach. You go to someone else for that. We've been doing that, right? Someone that's already kind of like above emotion, I keep asking them heady questions. They're locked here. They're stuck. So what we do with these people is we take them through emotion just like the other people, but we bring them down.
Mm-hmm.
So the juiciness for you as a huntress, as a fast moving high achiever is, are you going fast as a drunk toddler, dysregulated Tasmanian devil fast? you will still get results with that. We all know you're a badass and you're still going to get results. They're
Yeah.
going to feel very different. They're going to feel dehydrated.
Yeah.
You're going to get there and be like, ah, I don't quite, oh, next thing, right? Versus if you are regulated, you're going, moving through the emotion, then you're like well watered, you're well nurtured, and you're moving fast because of your regulation, not despite of it, not like against it. Because you can go fast dysregulated and it can be quite destructive. You can still have results doing that. That's the thing, is that you still get that ping, ping, ping. Huntresses and hunters have a different relationship with dopamine. So what I've had to do is yes, I like the dopamine. It takes a lot more for us to feel dopamine. We need it more. It's a whole, I can do a whole training on, I do have a whole training on this. So I leverage that, but I make sure that the things I'm doing aren't only for the dopamine hits, they're also oxytocin. So my work, my money coming in, it's like, do I have an oxytocin based relationship with those things or just a dopamine hit?
Yes. I love the parallel to hydration because when I think luscious, I think fruit. I think totally like plump skin, like sitting by an ocean. So that hydration and then moving through the emotion is eating the fear. It's feeling the fear. So bringing it back to fear, it's feeling the grief. It's feeling the anger. It's feeling whatever comes through. And that is like a hydrating thing to the plane of your energy. And then you have that. You feel through the waters of the body. It's amazing. That is such a good way to wrap it up. And I was laughing at the drunken toddler because I have a toddler right now.
You
So
know what that looks like.
I do know what that looks like. It's a very sweet, chaotic energy.
Yes.
I can relate to this because I've been called unflappable quite often. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. I think, I was reflecting, Mina, I feel that we have spiritual chemistry. Like that's the best way I can put it. As I was preparing for this conversation today, I can just feel that our souls have this chemistry and that they dance together. So it's just so nice to have you on my channel and to be so generous with your knowledge and your wisdom and your embodiment practices. Do you have any offerings that you want to speak out loud right now that you're sharing? I talked about your Queens of Money course. You have a couple of books. Anything else you want to highlight?
Yes. Right now, what I just completed a 3-day event called The Offering that people are going just hotcakes over. They loved it. And it was just returning back to that your femininity is your offering and what that could look like for you. Doesn't mean we're performing, but what does that look like
Mhm.
is a great one. I also have my next in-person event that's filling out fast. That's happening in January, and that's called Addicted to Abundance. That's
Mm,
happening. So those are, I would say, like really fun offer. But Queens of Money, it's 4 days, it's $44. Like it's got so many exercises, activations. If you're interested more in that huntress genome, I have a $22 offer called The Frequency of Certainty. That's really amazing as well. And I can send you links for all of that, Amanda, if you want to share it. And so, other than that, it was really amazing being here with you. It's always a pleasure. And I totally agree with what you said about we do have spiritual chemistry. Like there's just an energy. We get each other. Yeah. So I was really excited about this conversation.
yes, and I want to add one thing before I sign off. I remember the moment when I wanted to sign up for the CEO Boss Queen. You had just launched it. I was sitting in a sauna. I think it was during COVID. I had a backyard sauna, and I'm sitting there, and I emailed you, and I said, "Oh, I just am not quite sure I can do it." And you responded back. You said, "It's just a small adjustment, babe." And what you meant was energy. So I made this small adjustment in my energy. And I don't think that I would be sitting here. I know I wouldn't be interviewing you probably. I don't think I'd have a YouTube channel. So for those tuning in, these small moments can actually be really massive. Like if you think of a seed, what's held in a seed? The seed will inevitably sprout into a flower. So in that moment, I had taken a seed and planted a seed, and it's become this incredible community, really. My YouTube channel, I love all of you so much. And this relationship with our souls and this conversation right now stemmed from that moment. So it's all happening right now, and I just wanted to bring it back to that. remembrance. So thank you so much. I'm gonna cheers you with my, even though you don't have a drink. Oh, you have one? Cheers. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.